Hi, this is Ted Miller from Choosing Wellness with Purpose. Today we're going to make some sauerkraut. It's a fantastic probiotic. We make fresh sauerkraut and we have it with our breakfast in the morning along with our eggs and sausage or bacon. It is fantastic and is great for gut health. Get all those good bacteria in there. I've already started the process, but I'll just, first of all, we make sauerkraut using purple or red cabbage. In our opinion, it's so much better than green cabbage. If you've never tried it, run out to your farmer's market and get some red cabbage and try it. I've already cut up the cabbage, but I'll show you what I do. First of all, you have to peel off the dry outer leaves, and then I always peel off a couple of leaves off the outsides, a couple of big leaves, and kind of rinse them off and set them to the side, and we'll use them to put on top later. Like I said, I already cut the sauerkraut, but what I experimented with today, which worked fantastic, is using an Alaskan ulu. A friend of ours gave us this. It's this arc-shaped blade with a bowl-shaped cutting board, and it just cuts the sauerkraut great. But it is really sharp, so keep your fingers out of the way. This is just a piece of scrap sauerkraut, but as you can see, it cuts really easy. And when I quartered the cabbage, it worked great. And what we end up with is a bunch of purple cabbage that looks like this. This has been sitting for a couple of minutes, so I sprinkled a little bit of salt on it to kind of soften it up a little bit. But once it's you're ready to work it in, you need to put some salt on it. Depending on how much it is, kind of work it to taste, but I'll put about 4 tablespoons of salt. As you can see, I'm not really using a tablespoon because ours is dirty, but kind of experiment to get the right amount. You want to use, basically what you end up with is a salt water brine, and that's what you're going to ferment the sauerkraut in. So once you put the salt on, you just need to work it for about 10 minutes. And I just work it like this. It's going to give your hands a really good workout. And your hands, fingers will probably be tired, but once you get done with it, what you're going to end up with is a bowl of cabbage that's all limp like this. Really limp. After massaging it like that for 10 or 12 minutes, you also should have lots of nice salty purple brine in the bottom of it. That brine is what you're going to ferment it in. Now this cabbage we left in the refrigerator a little bit too long. It was dried out a little bit, so I didn't get quite as much liquid as we need. So I actually added a little bit of filtered water into it to bring, add a little bit more brine. Don't use chlorinated tap water because that will kill the bacteria that you're trying to ferment, and what you'll end up with is a smelly mess. So I massaged it, worked it in, and ended up with this. Once you've done that, if you haven't made too big of a mess, what I like to use, a lot of people use ceramic sauerkraut crocks. We buy our honey in gallon jars like this. Especially the wide mouths work great for making sauerkraut. So what you want to do, I usually use a spoon. Is you just want to fill it up, and then we're going to end up packing it as good as we can, nice and tight in the bottom of it. Ultimately, you want the brine to cover the sauerkraut. And don't worry about making a mess. Mess is clean. Just ask my wife. Usually I try to clean up after myself. Sometimes she has to clean up after me. Sometimes it's helpful to put a plate under it so it doesn't make quite as much of a mess. So I'm going to shortcut it here. So basically we press it in just as tight as we can. I'll press it in harder once I get it more full. Again, you want to press it tight. I'll press it down around the sides and the center. As you can see, the brine is kind of rising up, which is good. And I really push it in there and really pack it good. Don't forget that those cabbage leaves that you peeled off the outside, don't throw those out, put them in your compost pile. Again, you want to pack it so it goes below the surface. And then remember, I said to save some leaves. So what I do with those, I kind of break the spine of it a little bit so it becomes more flexible. But then with it cupped down, put this on top, and basically we're going to use this to hold the cabbage underneath the brine, because any cabbage that's on top of the brine that's not submerged is going to turn moldy, which isn't a big deal. You just check it every now and again and you scoop the mold off. It's fine. Won't kill you. It's good. And I forgot to get my cheesecake and cover here, but so basically what I'm going to do is I've got the cabbage leaf on top of that, and what I'm actually going to do is get a jar of water and just set it on top to kind of weight it down, to push it down and keep it covered up. And then I'm going to cover up the top of it with cheesecloth and a rubber band and put it in my cupboard, dark place, for 10 to 12 days. It will ferment nicely and it'll be fantastic. You'll want to check it after a few days, make sure that the brine hasn't raised up and isn't coming over and making a mess. And like I said, if it does seem to start getting a little bit of mold on the top, take a spoon and scoop that off, make sure everything stays submerged, and after 10 days it'll be great, and you can put it in the refrigerator. Putting it in the refrigerator won't completely stop the fermentation process, but it'll slow it down so much that it pretty much will. And if you're like us, you'll eat it so fast that that'll be fine. Ferment it to taste. Some people like it fermented for a week, some people like it fermented for 20 days. I've heard of people doing it for as long as 3 weeks. That'll probably make it a little bit strong for my taste. I like it 10 to 12 days, and it's fantastic. Choosing wellness with purpose. Go ahead and make some, try it, and try that purple cabbage. Have a great day.